Oops.
Hello.
Hello from serverless conference.
Yeah, you guys look busy.
This is the upstairs developer area, but it's all open to the space below. There's only one booth up here.
Ah.
I can go mobile.
Oh, I see.
It's all along one corridor.
Let's see. I see a few folks joining. I know a lot of people are at serverless this week, so maybe we'll just give it another minute and see if anybody else wants to join us. So let's see. Why don't we go ahead and get started? I see. Let's see. Some Adobe folks: Dewey, Sandeep, Ramki. Welcome. Do you guys? I'm trying to think if you guys have joined before. If you want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, this is Ramki. I have not joined before. This is my first call.
Welcome.
Yeah. So, hi for everybody. I am managing the team in India in Adobe, which works on the Adobe I/O runtime, which is of the OpenWhisk. Yeah. So I mean, I'd like to listen in actually. So that's why I joined. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And Sandeep? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, I joined previously as well. Hi guys, I'm Sandeep from Adobe. I'm from Bangalore. I'm also part of the same team as Ramki, and yeah, just good to join the community here.
Great. And let's see, I see Dewey there. I know he's joined at least once or twice before.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was in the last one as well. So yeah, I guess.
Great. And I see Jeremias and Matt. And yeah, thank you, Matt, for setting up the Zoom and joining us and taking time out of the conference. I see also Martin. Have you joined before, Martin?
Yes, I joined last time, but hello.
All right, welcome. Thanks for joining. So one of the things we usually do is to review any interesting changes to the code base. I know there's one change that I think has gone in since the last call, which is the controller distributed data store. Is that true? That's been since the last call.
Yeah, that's correct. So we had some discussions on that and found some edge cases for the Mesos and Kubernetes deployments. Mm-hmm. So we merged it with having the default to false and open. Internally, we tested it with an parameter enabled and also did some loading with it, also using multiple controllers, so 2 basically, and I was not able to find any regression this week. So I think it's good to have it in now and to get the first operational experience, and then I think the next point would be to work with you, Tyson, and with your colleagues, also with Ben, to find out the edge case and also the edge cases for Mesos and Kubernetes.
Yeah, and I think, so I sent a mail to the email list that there, from some other work on revising the queuing approach, it seems like we're coming into some issues that the having the load balancer not respecting the asynchronous nature of the counters can lead to unexpected scheduling. So I sent a mail to the mailing list, and I'll do some more investigation on that. But there's something fishy going on there with the scheduling, and I'll look into it more. But just as a heads up. Is there anything else? I haven't done a good job of keeping track of PRs this week. Jeremias, is there anything else that you want to mention?
Yeah, there's something I'm not sure of. There's a pull request open from Roderick with regards adding a new design document and splitting the activations view into multiple and improve it a bit. So there's a pull request open. Not sure if it is merged already, but we are going to adopt it internally due to operational issues we have with a huge activations database that we manage currently. And so we are hoping some improvements, especially for the size of the indexes and as well as time to index activation updates. So there's a one change coming.
Okay. Let's see. And then as far as other agenda items, I didn't have anything really specific. And I didn't receive any feedback from the mailing list on agenda items. I know there's a few topics that we've been circulating at Adobe that are still kind of underway. 2 of them are open pull requests. So one is on the log store extensions, so that we can decouple log storage from the CouchDB. The latest feedback I saw from Marcus is that there's some experimentation going on within IBM to test out the suitability of the SPI. Jeremias, I don't know if you have any visibility in that?
Yes, so it's a bit more complex. It's not just the SPI for us, it's the integration with the Bluemix login service. And there are some more aspects we need to consider. One aspect is definitely the SPI, but the other one is also how to roll it out in an existing deployment, right? And so we do have a design ready, I think. I have done a prototype this week, which looks promising, but I need to agree with the guys who will work on it, Marcus and Christian, and also with Michael, who are currently on the serverless. You need to agree on the design, and then I think we have some touch points on the SPI. So one will definitely be having the SPI per action basis, so a more dynamic rather than a deployment configuration of the SPI. So this is something we have discussed. This would be interesting or important for rolling it out, because we consider something like a dark launch, so that we can tell a user, configure it for your action to play around, and don't break all the users in one shot. And so this is something we have discussed. And also for our integration, it would be required to get some more properties on 2 of the plug points in the SPI. So once we would like to have the API key down for the setting it as a tag for the Docker container. So when you launch the user container with the log driver like Splunk or Gelf, we would like to add a tag, which is basically on the API key of the user. And the other one would be if you get activation logs from the API in the controller, we would like, or we have the need to pass some parameters to it from the CLI down to the SPI, so that we can use it in the search method to query the logs. So these are the 3 things I imagine we need to discuss once we agree that we want to go that path.
Okay.
That's what I have for now. I will update and formulate an update for the mailing list once I talk to the guys here.
Okay, great. And then there's a initial version of a Mesos integration pull request for a Mesos-based container factory, which is kind of a stepping stone, because without the log store SPI, logging is a bit of a non-feature until that's available. But I wanted to get it out for comments. So far, I haven't seen any feedback on it, but yeah, it's there. So.
Yes. So you will definitely see some activities from our side on that, because it's becoming, to several reasons, it's becoming important for us as well to manage the logs for users, usability reasons and as well as operational reasons. So
right,
we will look into it and also drive the thing forward.
Okay.
I do have one question regarding Mesos that came up here. Do we plan to have, like we discussed with the Akka clustering, do we have a mean to have a deployment test or build running on Mesos or Kubernetes in open, so that once we create a pull request like the Akka clustering, so that we can run it against and prove it against Mesos or Kubernetes?
Yeah. So I think, I talked with Marcus a little bit about that, and the same is true for like Splunk integration or anything. And my point of view on that was to at least get some tests in that verify the API usage is correct, and that at some point we have to trust that those systems are stable and that their API contracts are reliable. Now, doing actual integration tests where there's a live system is a much more complicated endeavor. I'm not sure how much work is going to be enough to do a proper integration test there, or how we would go about doing that in something like Travis or some automated builds. But for the near term, I would recommend that at least that there is tests that vet the API usage from a client perspective is actually working properly. And I think, that kind of amounts to implementing some mock servers that verify the HTTP traffic is going out in an expected manner. Does that answer a little bit like how to move forward, or did you have other questions?
I think for the SPIs it makes sense, but I'm wondering about the whole deployment for Mesos and Kubernetes and run the full suite again at the deployment.
So you're talking about like for the integration pieces for the SPIs, yes, but for the deployment, and do the deployment steps actually work? Yeah, that's a good question, and you're right. It's separate. I don't know. I don't know how well we can automate that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's fair, probably worth a discussion in the dev list and start a top discussion on that.
Mm-hmm.
Also get Ben's and the Red Hat guy's opinion and from David, who is working on it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
We've also started revisiting the discussion around authentication and making the CLI and API authentication extensible, so that we can have, for example, a delegated OAuth authentication provider. And I know that I forget his name, had done a prototype of that a while back, and we've been poking around at that a little bit. So I just want to give a heads up that we're starting to revisit that, but no actual work has been done yet, but we're getting there. Does anybody else have anything they want to mention as a kind of ad hoc agenda item?
Martin, probably want to talk about the progress on the Canon and Lockback? Talking too much?
To unmute myself. Yes, I can do it a little bit. I think after the discussion on the mailing list, I started working on a not ready implementation of the using Carmon for metrics, so it can be switched on instead of the log output metrics, log markers. And I'm quite successful in getting this up and running. It's not much code. It's kind of a little bit. I'm now looking at the configuration side of things. But I was quite successful in changing not too much code, reusing the existing log marker code to at least enable all the things that we write out at the moment. And I'm still working on configuration side of things. So it's work in progress still.
Awesome. That'll be great to be able to have some easy way to add metrics that's easier than the current.
Yeah. It's also the good thing is there's an easy way to run it locally. There's a Docker image available with all the stats, Grafana stuff ready to run. It's kind of easy to run it locally with that.
Sounds good. I see Carlos joined.
Hello.
Let's see. Does anybody else have any topics they want to cover?
I can give an update for the runtimes.
Oh yeah.
I've been creating repos like crazy. Like we don't have that many, right? Yeah, we're up to 40, I think, maybe. I don't know. For an open source project to manage. So hopefully we get a lot of people to help out with that. I created a repo per runtime. or language. The thing is like Docker. I consider Docker a runtime, but it's not a language, right? We can do Perl, Bash, anything that we want there. See people doing COBOL. So I created the repos. I work with infra, enabled them from Travis. Basically migrated the repo in a way that I took all the commits and the directory structure and everything. I left everything intact just to have one pass of having everything the same but in different repos. In a sense, created kind of a starting README. So that would be an area that I need help polishing those READMEs and the scan code and those type of things. But I was able to create a repo per language, and then Travis integration is there. The same tests are there. Once the tests are passed, and we create tags or pseudo tags, that gets pushed to Docker Hub. That way we have a more stable way of pinpointing which runtime is which and what changes it has. Today we just have a ton of images in Docker Hub with a 7-digit characters, and we don't know what it has or what have changed from one to another. So it's kind of messy today. So I migrated them, and then if you go to Docker Hub, you will see a 100 tag. So, and then you will see, I'll put an update to the mailing list. You will see I created PRs. So we have, 5 PRs, Python, Java, Swift, Docker, into the main repo. So the way we're going to work at the beginning is going to be transparent. It's just all the code that gets removed, that got moved out. When you do a Gradle this Docker, it still builds an image, but it's an image from the one in Docker Hub that is pinged to a version. So it's like the time to do a build will be much, much faster now. It's just a Docker pool, essentially. We will not be like creating the image in your laptop or in Travis. So builds should be much faster now. So I think that's it. I think the last one that I was working was the Docker one. That depends on Swift and Python. All the PRs are out. They're happy to review them. It's just removing code. There's not much in there. I know Dragos was concerned about the naming of the folders in the new repos, the fact that we're still doing this Docker, but it was just for a transition phase, so everything stays the same. I know that a lot of people already have scripts and deployments that are basically using them, so why break them? So let's have a transition and have some wins while we migrate to something more dynamic, which I think Kubernetes and Mesos want to get to. That you don't have to do this Docker. You basically pass to the invoker what are the set of images for the runtimes, like through Ansible or through environment variables, and you don't have to do this extra build. You just grab the images from Docker Hub. The problem is the invoker assumes that all images have the same prefix. So I think that's the thing that we have to fix is drive more of that dynamic information to the invoker through the runtimes JSON object that we pass in. So you can say, I have an image from this repo, from this Docker Hub account, or that prefix and that version, and that gets driven through environment variables in the invoker. So yeah, I think this is just grunt work that I took over, but it will pay out. It will pay out because then it will be more easy to maintain their languages. It will be more easy to update them, more easy to pick up security fixes. Also easier to add new languages like Node.js 8. I think I heard Java 9 got announced or something, Java 9. I don't know if somebody wants to work on that, is interested on adding Java 9. Probably the other, Swift 4. I know that some people in IBM are doing some work on Kitura and Swift 4. So that will help in that area to have runtimes that are more stable and better maintained. But I think that took too much time. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Good. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds like a ton of work, but yeah, I agree. It's important to get there. So
one thing was for some reason serverless conf was happening yesterday and today. Somehow people like PHP. I heard a lot of things in Twitter and from folks saying like the people got excited about PHP support. So Rob didn't tell me about that. So good that we have it. And I know I think Matt is over there in serverless now, so he's missing out. So yeah, I think that having these runtimes also is a pattern for if people want to add Go or any other languages. People are still not aware that you can run anything in OpenWhisk. People are asking like, when are we going to support Perl? Docker container, we support Bash, LS, anything that you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, good. I think yeah, this will do well. So cool. All right. Any other topics? Or should we move on to the last topic of who's going to host the next meeting? Volunteers, please. Don't be shy.
Since I couldn't make it last time, I can do it next time.
All right.
If no one else wants to.
All right. Going once to Jeremiah's. Going twice. All right.
Okay.
So 2 weeks. We'll see Jeremiah's. And great. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? Otherwise, we can call it early.
It's fine. I got the notes 2 places. I'll post those.
Okay, great. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your help. Okay, great. I think everybody gets a half hour back. And thank you for joining us from serverless. And yeah, thanks everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.